in here a few moments. We've got him. We're going to bring him in because we always see Phil, of course. There he is. Welcome to the show, Phil. And of course, welcome to Linda Eskay. So she's a speaker, a family coach, an advocate, really helping parents try to figure out what can they do to better support their children. And we're going to get into today something I think that's really interesting. What signs should we be looking for as parents, as educators, as caregivers that our children may be self-silencing? Linda, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So what we want to get into first is a little bit of context and try to understand really what's going on out there. We hear a lot about children having anxiety, children being medicated even at a very, very young age for anxiety. We see a lot of dark eyes, sleepless nights, children, as young as 3 and 4 years old, doom scrolling on their social media without parental control right through all hours of the night. What are you seeing?
Yes, I'm seeing all of that. So just to share a little bit of how I got here. We have a now 22-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old son. And we saw our own daughter being, growing into anxiety-ridden teenager and then being in that state for some time. And we wanted to help our son not get into that state, So we discovered tools that would help us really understand who they were, their true nature, and then just along the way, allowing them to feel safe in the home, being who they came here to be, right? So that kind of led us down to this term, I guess, of self-silencing, led us to understanding what that means. And kids today, Gen Z is the first population to grow up with social media and smartphones and internet, right? So they've always had that at the ready. And what that's creating is this largest population, really, of self-silencing people. And that comes in the way of, you talk about their scrolling and they're on social media and they're believing what they see on the internet. They're believing what the influencers are telling them, right? So they're buying into these illusions, really, and it creates unconsciously this suppression of who they really are, what their true values are, and they don't even really know they're doing it. So when I developed this checklist, I showed it to our kids and I showed them the signs and they're like, yeah, I do that. Yeah, I do that too. So I thought they're very subtle, right? Things that we can recognize as parents in our own children and help them realize that this is really a danger to their psyche and that it's important for them to advocate for themselves and speak up for an injustice or just be okay saying what they think and what's on their mind without fear of being criticized or ridiculed.
And that's got to be, I would think, a tricky balance because, of course, we also see on that other side, if you do speak out, you get canceled. Kids bully you. They think, oh, you're weird because you're expressing yourself in this way or that way. There's a lot going on in the school and the playground and outside of the school, right, digitally. How do you best guide parents to figure out, okay, what's that right sort of mix for my child? Where can they get information on that?
Yeah, so for us, it really comes down to helping them realize that those kids who are bullying them, it's not personal. They're serving some need of theirs, and it helps them get a different perspective on other kids' behavior so that they don't take it to heart and they don't take it so personally, but also that it's important to find the right peer group. If these kids are making fun of you because of who you are and maybe you process information or differently, right? You have a hard time articulating a sentence, then they're not your friends, and they're not people that you want to associate with. So it's difficult, right? When you're in high school and junior high to navigate relationships. But I think it's really one of the most important things and gifts that we can give our kids is knowing their value and that they can walk away from a relationship that isn't serving them.
Oh, exactly. Well, with that, why don't we get into this whole concept of self-silencing? Because I think a lot of us understand what's going on. Well, express yourself. You express yourself in the way that you dress and what you say, the groups that you're part of, all of that. But talk to us more about what are these signs of self-silencing? What does that look like? I think this could be really informative for parents. What do you see as the first sign?
So a lot of times, you say, how was your day? And kids say, oh, it was fine. But you kind of want to pull something out of them a little bit more than it was fine. But you can kind of judge by their body language. Was it really fine? And they're just like, yeah, it's school. Like my son says, I don't know what you think happens there, but it's just school. And so that's normal, right? But when it's fine, and they might look at the floor or not want to share something. That's a big sign. A lot of kids apologize a lot. So they're apologizing really for taking up space because they don't think that their needs matter, or that they might think that what they have to say isn't important or relevant. So apologizing, and we can very calmly and lovingly remind them that there's no need to apologize. That whatever they have to say is important and worth sharing. Just to go through a couple of them, really quickly. Oh, when they change their opinion, when they have a certain belief or thought about something, and they engage in conversation with you, and they're more agreeing with you, and if that's not really how they feel, it's about helping them understand that it's okay to have their own opinion. So these are just really nuances in conversation when you're talking to your kids. And what's so important about this for parents is a lot of times we want to sit our kids down and we want to, tell them how to do something or, well, this is the way you should be acting or whatever. And it really can just come out in simple, loving nuances. And that's the most important way to do it, I think, because then they're going to listen more, and they're going to take it in more, and they're going to feel more empowered in the moment. And when it starts in the home and they feel empowered, then they can take that out into the world with them.
Yes. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot to say about the students, the children that are not responding in a way that you think they would be disagreeing or think otherwise. Their level of confidence in their opinions are generally reduced during the teenage years to authority type figures, whether it's the teachers, whether it's the parents. They don't feel that they're experts and that their opinions, and they haven't done the required research to even propose anything other than, because that whole right answer, wrong answer is really dominating in our society as it relates to school, especially grading. It is either a wrong answer or a right answer. And when you're thinking in those terms and they're in that mindset all the time, it's especially when they're not having a lot of communications with the adults and teenagers to be able to be comfortable in sharing their opinions and understanding the differences too. So I think confidence is a big component of this as it relates to sharing their thoughts and ideas. And it's just grooming them to get comfortable in their own skin, as well as with others around them. And if there's a level of trust, and that's the other thing, is that they could be bashed at any moment, and that's a fear factor for them. So that's another variable associated with them, and then especially the experience with parents. If they've kiboshed them in the past, what makes them think that this is going to be an easy conversation to have? They'll just avoid it altogether.
Yep, I agree with you.
And I think that there's some more pressure now on too, because as much as you post anything and you can delete it, it's never really gone. Somebody's already grabbed it. They've done a screenshot. They've ridiculed you for whatever it is that you posted it. So it doesn't ever really go away. And I see that, I said, especially amongst the older kids who are on all the social platforms and adding comments to whatever was posted, and then somebody reacts negatively to that, and they try to backpedal and delete it, unfollow it, do whatever, but it's too late. The damage has been done. And I think that's just got to be adding enormous pressure on kids today.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much responsibility that we have, as parents, and it's completely different today than it was when we were growing up. Obviously, everybody will agree to that. But because of the internet and smartphones and social media, we have greater responsibilities and different responsibilities to teach our kids about how to use it appropriately. And what I believe and what I've seen is that it really starts with a strong sense of self-esteem. And when a child has a strong sense of self-esteem, they are more confident, they're more resilient. They can navigate their world easier than if they have low self-esteem and they feel like everybody's out to get them and they have to act a certain way to get attention, or even bad behavior is better than no behavior, because right, they would much rather, a child would much rather receive attention, negative attention, than no attention. So I know that strong self-esteem permeates through so many different layers and levels and areas of their lives. So as they're growing up and they're feeling really comfortable and safe to be who they are and express themselves, they don't have the need then to go do random strange things on social media, and it's a whole nother talk show, right? But I hear today a lot of people blaming these things, social media and internet and smartphones, for the way that our kids are and the anxiety that they're experiencing. I do know that that's a contributing factor. However, our son is a very big gamer. He has a smartphone, he uses the internet, and he has very high self-esteem. He knows how to solve problems. He's very comfortable in who he is. He knows what he wants to become and where he wants to go to college. So, we can't put all the blame on these things. I really, really believe that we can help our kids best by tuning into who they are and what their strengths are, their intelligence types, and what their unique talents and gifts are, and supporting them and letting those shine. And as they're growing up with all of these other distractions and things that could be causing anxiety in them, their brain is not in survival mode. They're not in that fight or flight state. So it's just a completely different way to navigate the world when they're in that state of being able to follow their intuition. And again, that's another talk show too.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, a couple of things there, right? All these stupid viral challenges. Oh, look at me kicking someone's front door in. No, because people have guns. Like, please don't. And nonsense like that, right? That's going out in social media. Now, because there is a greater onus on parents, but because parents are increasingly distracted with their own social media consumption habits, with all of the other stuff going on in their lives, not to mention what feels like a growing level of narcissism among parents. And so the kids aren't getting that nurturing and that self-esteem that they need. How can the child start to protect themselves and sort of take action to help themselves, especially these folks that might be listening that are teens? What can they do?
I mean, I appreciate the question. I don't know if it's necessarily fair to expect or ask a child to know how to to advocate for themselves, which is one of the reasons why I'm so heart driven with what I do, because they can't, they don't know better, right?
Yeah.
And we as parents, God knows, this is not blame game. We're all doing the best we can as human beings, and every moment of the day we can't do better than we can, right? So when we know better, we can do better. And I just love being able to share simple things with parents, like if you can apologize to your child, simply just by saying, I'm doing the best I can, but I apologize that I'm not supporting you in the way that you need, or I'm really wanting to understand you better and see you better. And that was one of the most beautiful things that happened with my relationship with my daughter, who I said is now 22, but 3-4 years ago, I apologized to her for trying to mold her into the person I thought she should be, instead of allowing her to become the person she came here to be. And I saw her whole body just relax, and it changed everything for her and for our relationship, because she knew in that moment she didn't have to be something else according to other people's expectations. She could just show up and be who she was. And it really is, I want parents to understand, it really is that simple. They just want to be seen and heard and understood, and we, yes, have a lot of distractions and it is very difficult to be a parent. But I know that just simply believing in your child and telling them that you believe in them changes their physiology. And if you tell someone you believe in them, they'll show you why you do.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm a huge fan of that. It does come down to all of that, but that's also part of the infrastructure we're trying to provide at Helpopedia, right? We've got the helping hands around the heart. That how can we just keep reaching out and growing our network of experts with folks like yourself and so many others that we've had on the show and that participate in our Helpopedia efforts, so that children and parents who might be in need of some of these resources to really grow into be them, their best selves and reduce some of that anxiety and uncertainty. That's why we're here. We want to help bridge that gap.
I know, and I'm so glad that I was connected with you because of that mission. And just I know when I was in that state of everybody in the house was triggered, and at the end of the day, it was like someone threw a cherry bomb in the middle of the kitchen floor, and the same exact scenario would play out every day. And I felt like I was failing at the one thing I wanted to get right. And what was wrong with me as a parent that I couldn't connect with my child? And it was just this, anger and fear and, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I know how that feels. I know what it's like to have that infant grabbing your finger one day, and then over the years, all of a sudden there's this person that you don't even know and you can't connect with, and the harmony's gone and the trust is gone, and it's just it's really a lonely place because you kind of think you're the only one. Right. And I just want parents to know you're not the only one. We're all, like, so many of us are struggling and suffering behind closed doors because this is raising humans, and we want them to be productive and happy and successful, but whatever that means for them, right? Not what it means for us and what we were taught. So yeah.
Go ahead, Phil.
Yep. So that imagery you had with your daughter, and that it relieved all the stress that she was facing, the expectations she was facing, and you saw that, and that should be the goals, that if parents are listening, that you want that freedom from the relief from your loved one to know that the pressure that you may have put on, and the apology just released it, and then knowing and understanding that you're there for her and supporting her is really important messages for your kids. And certainly I think that's the goal. If parents have that goal, is you'd like your child to be relaxed and comfortable in their own skin, in the kitchen, in the den, wherever you guys you're meeting and talking. You want that relaxed kind of view, and if it's not there, if it's tense, it's fighting, it's just those coming to those meetings, those very important meetings, to share the effective communication of supporting your kid in that way, to know that if you are, right, those parents who are really micromanaging them and wanting their desire of that medical surgical hands and pushing to rethink that and support your kids in ways that they have talents and skills and ambitions. And if you don't know that, right, there's a sign. If you don't know what their ambitions are and it's only directed by you, please revisit that.
Yeah. It's the expectations that they think they have to live up to. So, kids are like navigating their day and their world, always trying to guess, what does this person want from me? What does that person want from me? What is dad and mom, expecting me to do? And who do I need to be today to just get through today? And that's what, we really want to help parents understand, that we're not trying to just help our children survive the day. We want to help them thrive in life and feel, like they matter and they belong and they're worthy and they have contributions to share with the world, but they won't know what those contributions are unless we pull it out of them, like shine your light, and our kids are so incredibly different. It's really crazy. We were parenting them the exact same way. And then, our son, thankfully, when he was 12, made a comment, said at the dinner table, when you harp on us about our grades, you make us feel like we're not good enough. I was like, wow. Oh my God, as a coach, all we're doing is trying to help people believe that they're good enough. Right. And for him to say that was was really powerful for me. And just, time in our parenting journey when we used to call out the C in band on the report card instead of all the other A's, instead of celebrating the A's. And we realized, you know what, you're right. We're going to relinquish control over that. And that's your job. And you will know if you need support in a certain area. If you make a mistake, if you fail, that's okay too. Because it was really important for us when we learned like how important it is for them to know that mistakes and failure are okay, because that's how we learn. And parents, when you're putting so much emphasis and control on trying to get them to make good grades, you have to think about what's going to happen when they get out of high school and you're not on top of them anymore. Right? We want kids to have that intrinsic motivation, that resilience, and that ability to want to do well because it makes them feel good, not because we're forcing them to.
Well, that's just it. I think that's why you look around, you see executive function disorder just raging because we've all figured out, we need to do everything for our children so that they're the best at the best at the best. And we do this and we're going to do that. And then meanwhile, the poor child then goes to university, no structured time. You got to figure all that out. And they're like, what do I do? What do I do? I don't know how to do this. Do I make my bed in the morning or not? We've done a disservice, so many of us as parents, to our children.
And I read something interesting. Dr. Meg J, I believe is her name, who wrote The Defining Decade, about kids going into their 20s. And if you think about a child going through life, they're really on this conveyor belt, she calls it, of education, where they're told what time to get up, what to wear, like what time to eat, what time to change classes, what homework to do when you get home, what chores you're doing, when to go to bed, blah, blah, blah. Everything is just laid out for them. And then when they go away and they're on their own, their brains like seize because they don't know what to do, right? You don't have somebody there mapping out their day for them. So it can be very, very overwhelming, which is another really incredible source of anxiety for people in that age group.
Oh, I can imagine. Like I said, that's just it. I mean, I think we collectively like to put labels on everything, but the net is that we've got to enable our children. So like, feel confident. It's all right. Try this. That doesn't work. Okay. Right. And just be there. Hey, I've got the guardrails. Here's the safety net, right? You're coming too close to the end. Get back in there. Right. Getting too close to the barrier. Get back into the middle. It's hard to
do as a parent because you'd want to protect them. We want to protect them, of course, but yeah, keeping them in a playpen their whole lives, with the baby gate up, isn't doing them any favors.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're open. They got to get there. Like I'm.
Yeah, boundaries and those things are obviously important in teaching your children values and right from wrong, but we got to let them scrape their knees and learn on their own. It's like telling somebody, don't you ever fall in love because it's going to really hurt. Right? You have to let them just do it. Do things.
Oh, I'm all about it. They should be eating dirt because there's really, really good bacteria in there that help them with their immune systems.
Right?
They shouldn't be using.
Before falling in love, make sure you eat the dirt.
Yes, absolutely. They shouldn't be using hand sanitizer everywhere and antibacterial dish soap and antibacterial hand soap and everything. Like, no, like we need to build immunity in so many ways. Right? We got to try those things again.
And you know what? I swear, I love what you're saying because it really ties into all of it. There's so many different things. I could go down 7 rabbit holes today if I had time, but we need to understand that we have created this. We have created this when we're talking about childhood anxiety, right? And I totally believe we can uncreate it. I totally believe we can cure childhood anxiety by preventing it. And it's tuning into the child. When they're really young, watch them play. What do they like? Do they like an erector set? Do they like to paint? Do they like to be outside? Are they sports inclined? Like not every kid is, wanting to play sports. Not every kid wants to do a band instrument. Not every kid wants to read and write right. So you can really tune into what lights your kid up by just watching them play. Just observe them and then support them. What kind of group can we get you into to help you connect with other kids who are doing what you're doing, so little things like this, but it does start at home and it starts when they're young. And I just want to say in, wrapping up, it's like, I hear so many times when I'm networking, I'm talking to other parents and they say, oh, what you do doesn't apply to me because my child is only 2. And it really gets me in the heart, because that's the perfect time to start with this work and understand the tools and who your child is. Because 20 years ago, we didn't have an anxiety-ridden teenager, but she grew into one because of all the things that we now know and understand, you know? So it's much easier to keep them out of that anxiety-ridden state than to get them out of it later.
Right. Prevention, not treatment, right? Speaking to the choir on that one too.
Yeah.
Linda, I think we could be talking all day, but as you said, we are ready to wrap. So with that, these are the signs that you should be looking for if your child is self-silencing, and find ways to build their self-esteem so they feel confident expressing themselves. Linda, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a joy.